Yes, sir, you are good. We are live now.
Okay, Awal, can you mute your mic? I think we can start. Mhm. Okay, so sorry for the delay today. I think we had some technical issues, but it's resolved now. So good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome to today's module that I'll be taking. So we have been interchanging with Mr. Victor. So I hope you had lovely sessions with him in the past few weeks. Okay, so let me share my screen. Cannot see whether my screen is shared. Ah, can you see my screen? Because I don't think StreamYard is allowing me to. So I'll just refresh my page and try and see if it can work again. So just give me another few minutes. Hmm. So I think it's good now. Everybody can see. Everybody can see.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Mhm. Okay. So um, what we're going to be looking at today, well, in the coming weeks, we're going to be focusing on Site 105. So Site 105 is basically digital forensics. So we're going to be looking at what is digital forensics, how do you, the introduction and the basics of digital forensics in cybersecurity. What is it actually? How does it apply in cybersecurity? What are the uses? What are the principles? And then for today's lecture, after we finish, because this is very practical based also, so we will have to look at ways in which you can set up your own private lab or on your computer that you can do some practicals, and then we will have a quiz and assignment as usual. But not just like I normally do in my classes. So these are basically what we're going to be looking at. So for today, yes. So um, we'll start. Let's go to the lecture directly. So we'll just introduce what the basic concepts of digital forensics are. Uh, and also some forensic tools that we're going to be using, basically. So, what is digital forensics? Everybody, obviously, that is where we're going to start. So, basically, the generalized form or definition of digital forensics is just the application of computer science and investigative procedures. So, this is very, very, very key word here, investigative procedure. So, what kind of investigative procedures for legal purposes? Involving analysis of digital evidence after a proper search, authority, chain of custody, validation uh, with tools that are acceptable, repeatedly or repeatability through reporting and possible expert contribution. So I will. This is very brief, but I will take each and every word and then break it down. So firstly, you can see it's just your application of the knowledge, for example, your computer science or cybersecurity knowledge. To do what? What are you going to apply it on? Investigate. So investigation, it's not just because you feel like investigating or you want to investigate. No, you need to have legal capability. You need to be allowed by law to be able to investigate that particular issue. So the legal investigation is what we call the digital forensics. So let's pause a little and then I will just ask a few questions. Who do you think the EFCC hires to catch Yahoo boys? When they catch Yahoo boys, who do you think investigates their phone, their laptops, their computers, their tablets? Who do you think investigates all these to extract evidence that will later be used in court? They are digital forensic experts, which is part of cybersecurity. That is just one example. I mean, the digital forensics is a bit wide, but I'm just narrowing it down for you to understand specifically aspects that are useful to this particular what we're discussing right now. So um, let's see if there are any comments, questions, just based on the first introduction. Exactly. Yes. Somebody is saying cybersecurity analyst, special digital forensics. Yes, that's true. So somebody said exactly. So that is what we are going to do. So for you to have a full spectrum of cybersecurity knowledge, you will start with, for example, what we started with. We started with operating system, which is more of computer science. We need to understand what operating systems are, how to protect operating systems, the concept of cybersecurity. We now went into the networks and now looked at how to secure your networks. Now, everything we have been looking at is how to secure, how to secure. So, what if this particular, all these spectrum that you are securing eventually gets breached? How do you prevent it from happening? That is where digital experts come in. So, normally, when a company is hacked, they call in forensic expert to come and investigate and see what happened, so that you will report back to the service or the authority, and they will try to prevent it from happening. That is the main aspect. So I'm not sure you guys follow the news, but yesterday was what we call the Blue Friday. So a lot of IT infrastructure was down, especially those that are leveraging and using a particular tool or software called the CrowdStrike. So CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company that offers solutions for IT infrastructure. So just they pushed an update that had some issues, so they had to roll it back. So about 80% of the global IT infrastructure that uses this particular software crashed. So that is what why we call it the Blue Friday, because almost all IT infrastructure all over the world had this blue screen, like the computers crashed if they have updated their CrowdStrike equipment and software. So yes, somebody was saying a lot of flights were grounded, so you can see even critical infrastructure like airports, their data could not be accessed. Critical infrastructure, some in advanced countries, their power, some people had their water systems down, their healthcare system was down. All these issues were happening. But a solution was, with the advent of AI, they could develop a very simple solution to roll back, or you can manually roll back if it affected your computer as well. So, what the point I'm trying to make is the people that are in charge of all these finding out, investigating the data project. So, we'll try to give you some knowledge to do some theoretical investigation on by yourself, and also some practical investigation, and see how it is done actually in the field. So the next word I'm going to stress here in this particular aspect is legal. So if you're trying to catch bad guys, you have to follow a procedure that is legal, that has been stamped by law, and also you need to have like a methodology that is very, very practical. So next aspect is what I'm going to explain is the search authority. So I cannot just declare myself as a search authority and go and start collecting people's laptops, and then just because I did an online course, I'm now certified digital forensic expert, and now collecting people's laptop to extract evidence and go to court. No. There are certifications that apply to this. There's the proper authority that will be endowed upon you. For example, if you are employed by ICPC, and NSA's office, all the security agencies, and now they will give you a letter to endow you, sorry, to be able to perform a specific investigation. Let's say you are assigned the hush puppy case. They will give you a letter of authority to be able to perform this. So that is why authority is very, very important. Next is the chain of custody. Chain of custody is basically, I will summarize it as the procedure of passing evidence from one point to another. Okay. So the first person that collected the computer or laptop of the victim is the first person in the chain. Then he compiled everything and gave it to the person that will perform forensic extraction. And then he will now sign it off officially to the person that will perform the analysis, and then the person that will present the report. So the chain of passing down all this evidence from one person to another methodically, while signing with the date, timestamp, name details of everybody. It's what we call the chain of custody. Basically. Okay. So I hope that is okay. So there are other definitions of this particular digital process that we can look at. You can search online. But what I would like to tell you is, when you look at the second one, is the application of science to identify, collect, examine, and analyze data. So you can see the life cycle already of digital forensics coming out now. So you start by identifying. So I will do this practically for you. So I identify what the identification is. Look, when you arrive at the scene, okay, I've identified the victim's room is here. So his laptop. I identify all the data points. So he has a laptop. He has a mobile phone. He has a tablet. He has a TV. He has a network uh, router. All these are aspects that you all collect. You have identified them. Then now you can collect all these things and preserve them. Preservation means connecting, disconnecting it from the network, disconnecting it from the power. All these things are procedures that you will preserve the data so that nobody can erase it or tamper with the evidence. Now, when you take it back to the lab, you can start your examination and analysis there, which is what we will look at. As you can see in the definition, it also strictly explains that preserving the integrity of the information and maintaining chain of custody. So nobody should tamper with the data on it, and also it should follow methodical way of chain of custody. So if you want to be a successful digital forensic practitioner, what are things that you need to do? You need to know, have a very good background on computers, whether it's the old or the new one. This is where it gets tricky now. You need to be very professional because we have people that are very good with computers, but they're not professional. They just want to make a quick money and quick buck and leave. That's why you can see we have, even in the EFCC, we have issues of corrupt uh, staff that have been investigated and been either dismissed or have been jailed. So it's not just about getting the knowledge; it's about also conducting yourself professionally. Uh, in this field, you also need a lot of common sense to be applied. Trust me, there are cases that we have worked on that even the most knowledgeable people cannot crack that particular case. But when you stop to think, just ordinary thinking man, you can apply that particular thinking in order to help you. I will give you an example. There was a case we were working on back in the UK on there is this Polish gang that were caught, and we were examining the devices, the mobile phones, to get audio is very low. I'm not sure it's for me. Awal, please, can you look at it? Thank you. So I hope it's clear now. Some people are saying audio is not clear. Please, can you confirm? Awal, please confirm. I mean, I have a device with a mic, but I think the last time I used it, everybody said it was not clear, so that's why I'm using directly. Okay, I will confirm that it's clear. Okay, it's breaking. It's clear for your end. Okay. So, like I was saying, I was giving an example of a case we worked in the UK with the Polish gang, which are uh, so they are operating in the UK. And when they were caught, we were trying to analyze the mobile phones, but we couldn't get any data off of it. And then one of our junior, I think we had 10 investigators, forensic experts, and one of our junior interns, actually, when we got stuck on decoding the files on the mobile phones, just realized something that it's something very simple and easy, but we couldn't actually know. Like at that time, we were so overwhelmed. But why not us loading and installing a translator with a Polish dictionary to help us decode what they're saying? I mean, it's something easy. We all assumed everything was supposed to be in English, but then common sense from a very low part of the team actually uh, gave us the idea to just decode it with the Polish dictionary, and it worked. And from there, we cracked the case, and it was successful. So you also need to have the ability to think outside the box, just like the example I gave you. You need to be very patient and meticulous, attention to detail, and persistent. So if you don't have patience to wait for hours and hours to just even uh, image a particular device, then this particular field of cybersecurity is not for you. It's for the patient type. Yes. So, like I explained, maintaining professional conduct, objectivity, confidentiality. You don't have to tell people what you're working on, how you're doing it, and the rest until you're done. You also obviously need professional training, like what we're doing now, to get the skills in terms of the hardware, the software. So in digital forensics, you need to understand how software works, malware analysis. You need to understand how the hardware itself works, because you're going to be dealing with a lot of hard drives. You need to know how networks work. Then you will do network forensics, you will do mobile forensics, you will do so many types of forensics. So that is why it is a culmination. People don't normally go into this field at the beginning. It is after you have had a very productive career in cybersecurity, then you can now go into this to put all your skills and all your experience into investigations. There is a reason why in the police, for example, I give you an example in the UK or the US. Why is it that only the top and people at the later part of their career are actually awarded the role of a special investigator or detective or something? It's because they want them to go through all the police cadre, and then towards the end of their career, they can be given the detective role, basically. So um, that is why it's because of you to use all your experience, all your skills that you have learned over the years. So, in the roadmap for digital forensics, like I already explained, search authority, you need to have the authority to be endowed upon you as an individual or a corporate investigator to perform a particular investigation. Then you have to maintain chain of custody, like I've explained, movement of evidence from one certified person to another until the end. Then imaging now is the act of extracting the data from the particular digital device, which we're going to look at, and we're going to perform a practical on it as well. And then after extracting or imaging, number four is to validate that that particular item is the integrity is in place. So there are certain skills that and certain methods that we're going to use to validate the hashing. And then now we're going to perform towards the end of the next few weeks, we'll perform some analysis to try to extract some truths, and then we'll perform it over and over and over again until we get all the things that we need. Then we can now present it in form of a report to any authority that has been, or your clients that hired you. So, in terms of digital investigations, it's the base for both if you're performing vulnerability and threat assessment and risk assessment, or you want to check for network intrusion and detection and response, which is normally in digital forensics and incident response. So, digital investigations are what bridges both of them. They have this in common. So, for those that are performing VAPTs or vulnerability assessments, you are actually performing investigation in or on web applications. In terms of your IDS or IPS that you have, uh, they are collecting data for you to be stored. They are detection and intrusion detection systems. So you have to go into the device or network device to extract the network data in order to perform digital investigations. So all these are the two aspects are generating the data for you to perform the digital investigation. So that is why the triad is here. So there are some resources that you can get from a lot of platforms. Uh, Normally, we used to use the DOS before, then Windows 9X. Now we use Linux, Macintosh, which is the Mac OS, and the current Windows platforms. So you need to be familiar with most of these things because the tools, some are in Windows, some are in Linux. So for also for you, you have to be quite conversant with the ever-changing new technologies. So even I think our latest investigation involved a device that generated data from AI. So before there was no provision, we only used to computers, laptops, media devices, USB drives, hard drives, tablets, anything that stores information about people, mobile phones, network devices, Walkmans, MP3 players, all these things were the traditional way. But now with the advent of AI and cloud, we now have cloud forensics, we have social media forensics. So there are tools that we can use to investigate somebody through the social media handles and other smart devices that are coming up. So if you want to be in the field, I'm part of Forensic Focus. Forensic Focus, they have their group in uh, all social media, so you can join them on either Instagram or Facebook. They're a very good source of material for digital forensics. So again, to develop, you need to join all these professional organizations, get your certifications, join user groups, just exchange because these things, some of these information and data come in as fast as possible. So it's not something that is written in a book and kept somewhere or being updated. So every day it's always changing. That's why the field is quite difficult. So we have different types of digital forensics investigations. There's the public investigations and there's the corporate. So an example of public investigations is like I told you, it involves government agencies like EFCC in Nigeria, ICPC, the NSTSD in the UK, the FBI in the US. So all these are public investigations. Now, private and corporate investigations are companies like the one I'm part of, the Octagon Cybersecurity, will perform corporate investigations. So if you have issues with internal theft or internal abuse or cyberbullying, you call us in to come and investigate and present evidence for you that you can later use or rely them upon in court. Like I explained yes about, so this is, there are many organizations, especially in Nigeria, that actually delve into private or corporate that are non-law enforcement. So some of the things that you should also know we're going to be using frequently digital evidence first responder. So is the first person when something happens that arrives on the scene. So normally you should be trained to be a first responder. So it's not when you arrive you go and be touching so many things, be delving into the evidence and tampering with the evidence all over. You should be able to isolate the area, identify specific data points that you need to preserve the evidence before you acquire it. So a digital evidence specialist is a person that performs these kinds of analysis uh, on digital evidence. Now, a law uh, term here, this is not related to forensics, but it's because we are backed by the law, affidavit. Everybody has gotten an affidavit for one document or the other, so it's the same thing. So it's just a sworn statement that says the evidence or a crime has been committed and this can be used as an exhibit. So, in any criminal case, a suspect is tried for any criminal offense, but will be backed by digital evidence in this case. That is where digital forensics comes in. So it's not just somebody slapped you and then you just go to court and then say, okay, so this guy did this. No, we don't have any business in that. There's no digital evidence there. So it's left for the lawyers only. What digital forensic experts are is to follow the legal process and support the lawyers, support the law, basically. So, um, also, another thing that you should know is uh, investigators can be involved in delegating, so you can have your support staff to process the information that you have gotten. Um, so, what are these types of investigations made up of? So, it can be maybe somebody on YouTube on the chat abusing somebody. Uh, that's why we have the YouTube policy, usage policy. But when you go onto other live channels, you can see a lot of hate, people abusing black people abusing Christians or Muslims. Hate is all these. So it can be YouTube harassment, it can be email harassment, maybe between your colleagues in the office. Somebody will send you a very hurtful message on your email or even text. These days, we investigate that. There's falsification of data, so we try to see how we can check whether the data that has been presented is genuine or not. Then there's embezzlement, where we can investigate and follow the money through the computers and the networks. There's industrial espionage, which I will give you a typical example of the Iran case. So, in order to actually help in performing these investigations, you need to have a well-defined company policies normally. So, for example, you don't allow people to bring their laptops to work, or when they bring it, they have certain policy on how to connect to your data and the rest. So, all these policies are put in place to make investigation easier to perform, not impossible. So, normally, for investigations and for getting things done in a very corporate manner, you normally, before you connect to anything or have anything, you will always see a notice to users, or you will see, please accept the usage policy or accept the policy of so and so. So this is actually for, especially when you're about to access a particular set of data that is sensitive, they will give you that if you use this for malicious purposes, there will be a penalty, or there will be, or damage or alter any data, there will be a penalty. As you can see here, the example is, if you obtain the data without authority, there will be 2 years imprisonment. If you damage or alter the data, there will be 10 years imprisonment. So you can see how data is very, very key. So for you to get data from a particular device, your organization or your agency needs to put in a request in order to cover the ethics aspect of your investigation. Why? Because you need it to be relied upon in court. So if it was obtained illegally, it cannot be admissible in court. So other investigations with, like I said, email abuse, I've already said internet abuse. If you go and for those, the last investigation we did, I think a few years back, was child pornography. So some people were abusing the use of internet to go and watch and create child pornography. So we had to investigate their computers to find whether they have deleted and recover them, the files, and also present that they have actually used their particular computers to watch or create child pornography. Yes. So Um, uh, some of the useful tools that we're going to be used for learning are autopsy. Is going to be used for our analysis. An FTK imager, we're going to use it for the particles in order to access or take information from or extraction of data from a particular digital device. So far, any questions? Please check the chat if there are any questions so far before we continue. So Kamal Garga is asking how many branches of forensics do we have? It seems you talk about digital forensics. Yes, digital forensics is the only aspect of forensics that is part of cybersecurity, and we're doing a cybersecurity course. So you have medical forensics, you have uh, forensic science, you have different aspects. So we're not going to be go to the lab and start doing DNA or fingerprint extraction on all those. No, we have our own fingerprint reading that we're going to be doing in forensics. So to answer Kamal Garga's question is we're only focusing on the forensics aspect that is digital, computer, mobile, network, whatever it is. We have no business with start combining chemicals or spraying other chemicals just to find different types of DNA. No, forensic science will handle that. We're digital only. So um, Tamira Okafor, how can one gain experience in this field? Like I said, I've already explained this. You have to, well, normally we don't advise people to jump into it at the beginning of your career. You need to be well versed in IT, computing, gain some experience, go and spend a few years in cybersecurity, do different aspects, go into SOC, go into offensive cybersecurity, go into pen testing, go into all these things before they gather all that experience, then come into forensics. That is the best way. Margaret Elechi is asking, is the ACPO applicable in Nigeria? Yes. So it's a global principle that is normally adopted for best practices. So we have life forensic, image forensic, no. So Kasim Shafi, life forensic, I don't know what that is. I don't know where you got it from. It doesn't exist. Is forensic science or digital forensics. And all these things that you have mentioned, image forensic, database forensic, all those, they are all part of digital forensics. And that is what we're discussing now. You can divide them into smaller parts and say they are major parts. Uh, so those digital forensics involve a lot of technicalities. Yes, there are a lot of technicalities. How many people can be in a digital forensics team? It depends. For an expert team, we normally have a minimum of five because we have a programmer, we'll have a web developer that will handle uh, web headers forensics, we'll have a database expert, we will also have a graphic designer that can study images and extract data from images in case of steganography. So we'll also look at steganography uh, as part of the course. Um, so I will say a minimum of five people that have different backgrounds. So somebody is good in malware reverse engineering. Somebody is a developer that can study the code that was used to develop a malware. All these things are important. It's not just one man team. You only do that. You go and do this. You cannot be good in everything. So you spoke of joining a forensic professional group. How can we one get to join, please? Like I said, on the notes I normally give every time, people keep on asking, how can we get? It's like all the classes I've done, I normally give all the materials out. So you will get the links there and then you join. Most of them are just on the social media that you can follow. So when they have updates, you can see. We will talk about tools used, Mr. Alowanle. Uh, tracking of suspect. So, Mr. Iyaji Matthew Agida, in an investigation, how can tracking of a suspect involve the case, assist in investigation? What are the processes? Tracking is not part of forensics, please. Is coding important? Yes, coding is important to digital forensics, Mr. Nicole. Isiaka, please, I will not answer your question. This is not a political. Please go and change your YouTube name, please. You're trying to make things very political here. We don't want to. Nobody wants to see that you're supporting Peter Obi or that. Please. We need more class on cryptography. Yes, cryptography is going to be taken after this particular course by Victor. That's the next after this particular one before your final project. The last course, so Mrs. Jumme Aminat, cryptography is going to be taken last. Please have deleted. Yes, we are going to look at how you can recover deleted data, especially those that criminals use to delete. So are we supposed to download Mr. Miss Ololade pretty hard? Yes, we will do all that. Are we supposed to download anything on your PC? Yes, you will download. So digital forensics, you must, it's not optional, you must have a computer. There are no two ways about it. You can't run on your phones. Impossible. So I think what is the minimum years one can be a cybersecurity before she can? There is no minimum. It's just for you to gather as much experience as possible. Yes, reverse engineering involved in digital. Yes, especially involving malware. So reverse engineering malware is something that we do all the time. So you have to be good in maybe, for example, Python or JavaScript that have been used to develop the particular malware. So malware reverse engineering is what we use. So we will look at steganography, Ms. Tamira Okafu, and you'll see the reason is when you see the concept of steganography, you know why digital forensics needs to learn and to uncover the hidden detail. The list, please, I will give you a list. I've already given you some already, and you're still asking. I don't know. These are some useful tools, Ms. Faith, and I've explained. Autopsy is what we are going to use in this class to do analysis. We are going to use FTK Imager to extract data. So please. So for your lab preparations, you can later on look at it. We are going to be doing some labs. I will give you the hands-on activity, but then you need to download autopsy, forensic toolkit, Imager. I will give you all the details. So I actually have a link here. Yes, so these are links. If you want to read more on chain of custody for sniffers, there's a book that I've attached here, an overview of digital forensics URL. So if you want to just have like more details on what digital forensics is, like I've explained and summarized, then there's a YouTube link on a TED Talk on digital forensics, so you can listen to that as well. So don't worry, everything is handled. We're going to cover almost everything. So I think we can continue. And then please, if you can hold on with the questions until after, I will try to answer them. So we were going to look at more of human behavior and computer crimes, some legal considerations, and then what is the difference between computer forensics and computer security. And then we'll look at the concept of CMs, or incident management and response. So you need to know what is a security incident or security incident management. So it's just a well-planned, well-defined response to violation of security policy. What is an event itself? So you have an event is when you have uh, a normal, your daily life is going normal. You wake up, you go to sleep, you go and eat, you go and pray, you go to your work, you come back and you go to sleep. But then suddenly you have an accident or something that is not away from the normal procedure happens. So that is what we call an event. So your computer is functioning very well every day, very well, and then all of a sudden you have a crash. That is the event. So what about an incident? What is the difference between an event and an incident? So an incident is actually an event itself, but it has an underlying human cause. So it's caused by something that happened. Uh, Maybe a human influenced it, whether it's accidental or knowingly with malicious intent. So we have CSERT. CSERT is the Computer Security Incident Response Team, uh, which is a dedicated making organizations better prepared for. So these particular organizations or teams are normally, from my knowledge, are both governmental and private. I personally, I have a personal CSET with Octagon. So it's just a team of computer forensics experts and cybersecurity experts combined that are ready anytime when there's an incident to respond. So they are a response team, incident response team that are ready. So, like I said, a company has been hacked, they will just give us a call or send us an email. Okay, we have just been hacked like 10 minutes ago. Can you come? And then immediately we can pack our bags and then go to their site and then try to see what is happening. Now, in government, for example, in Nigeria, we have the last option, which is the CERT, which is Computer Emergency Response Team. So I think in Nigeria we have two. So both, one is domiciled in the office of the NSA, which is the CERT NG. I saw the NG CERT. NG CERT is domiciled in the office of the National Security Advisor in Nigeria. While the CERT NG, which is the name is flipped, is domiciled in NITDA. So they do basically the same thing. I'm not sure how active they are currently, but normally if you can go to them to report if your laptop has been affected by ransomware, if you have any organization that has been attacked or hacked, you need to report to them so that they can try to see how they can help you. So that is what they do basically. So I want us to look at forensics from a different perspective. So forensics basically is more of an art than science, even though it's computer science. But when you look at it, the physical aspects that you're going to be involved in are more of an art before you start doing the science, which is using data itself. So in the life cycle, I've explained that you first preserve the data, you identify which data, you start your extraction, you document your findings, and then you present. So this is just a recap. So in SIMR, it's basically almost the same as what we've explained, but this is in terms of incident management and response. So what the CERT have been doing, what the CERT have been doing, what the CSERT are doing, all these are part of managing security incidents. So what they normally do is they need to have uh, backing by the law. So they need to have also permission to your organization. Now they can start doing specific activities like data recovery, performing some audits and scans, looking at your security policies to try and see what went wrong before they can actually immediately start on their forensic investigation. So normally, some of the major cases that we have are normally related to pedophile activity, uh, phishing, which is very, very common. Um, so use of digital equipment for criminal activities. For example, like I said, Yahoo boys are not hackers, but they use digital devices to perform their crime. So in order to scam you, I need to send you an email, or I need to send you an SMS with a digital device, which is my phone or my computer. Now, this makes it our business as digital investors to investigate because they're using not necessarily hacking you directly, but using digital devices to perform the scam. Yes. So uh, things that you can get, usernames, IDs. That's why it requires a lot of professional activity. So during your digital organization, you can have access to very, very sensitive information. Okay, so maybe like so. I will give you an example of typical example of what we do as digital forensics. So let's say you have an employee in your company that has been, instead of being promoted, he was demoted because of one reason or the other. And then he says, okay, he is going to leave the company, he's going to resign. Before resigning, what he did was he installed a date triggered time bomb. What this is a piece of software or malware that actually uh, activates to perform a particular malicious action at the particular time that has been set. So let's say, okay, I will just install a time bomb on my computer to destroy all files, maybe by tomorrow when I have left already. So that is one example of things that you can investigate as internally as a forensic expert, or people that advertise goods on social media but they never deliver, but they have received payment. So you can perform forensics on money transfers as well. I think this is very common in Nigeria. There are so many fake people online with Facebook, Instagram. You send them money, but then you never receive the item. Or one of your employee that you have sacked will not send you abuse on via email, or websites that actually uh, advertise malware or fake items also. All these things are, or when a bank in itself has been hacked, or stealing personal information or even money, computer forensics or digital forensic investigators come in very handy in these cases. So we need to look at the question: when these things happen, do people actually go and pursue legal action? Do they? So if you have been hacked, do you go to the police or do you go to the CERT to go and report if you have been hacked? The answer is actually not really, because you can see the majority of people, more than half, think that the crime is not serious enough to go and actually report, basically. While okay, only 16% people, that is including globally, including advanced nations that go up actually report these things. So you can see how bad it is, and the need for more uh, digital forensics experts. So some considerations that you should put are legal considerations, search and seizure. Before you search, what are the principles that you're going to follow? You just search somebody that you think has particular, or you just collect somebody's laptop and then start searching. No? The privacy issues that you need to look at, especially what I want to maintain here is the scope. If you have somebody's laptop under investigation and the scope of your investigation is only user bank accounts, please do not go and search for private pictures and photos. I've had that case. A lady was investigating one case with me, and she wanted to look at some clothes that the victim was wearing. That is not part of our scope. Hence, you should not pass that particular breach of privacy. That's why at the beginning of the lecture, I told you that it was going to be very, very, you need to be highly professional. So I want us to look at the differences between computer security and forensic computing. So, firstly, for digital forensics, you need to have some attributes that you're going to be, in terms of scope, attributes that you're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for who stole this money. While in security, you're just focusing on how to protect that particular device. Now, digital forensics, like I said, it is multidisciplinary. You need to have, that's why I keep on stressing, you need experience from all aspects. If you're going to be doing it alone, you need to gather all the experience that you have in your cybersecurity and computer science career to come. While computer security, you can isolate yourself and do it on your own. It's a discipline in its own. Now, in digital forensics, we don't have any international framework that unifies everybody. Unlike computer security, you have NIST, you have cybersecurity framework, you have ISO, you have so many. Forensics is an emerging field. Like I say, it's always changing. While computer security or cybersecurity is established. So the forums that we have in digital forensics is closed. That's why I say you have to join. While since it's an established field in security, there's so much information that you can find online. Everybody's sharing in social media. You don't have to join any forum. While also you need to look at the computational exhaustion. The viewpoint is long term because we need to improve computational power to support digital forensics in order to cut down the time. While cybersecurity, it's a short term viewpoint, you can use so many available tools out there. So, even though both fields overlap, there are some things that they have basically in common. Of course, you need to have your security policies in place. You need to update them. When you detect a problem, you analyze and fix. So that is the life cycle that we are going to be looking at as we proceed, especially with the practicals. So, summary of what we have done so far. Your computer may be the target of a crime, or your digital device can either be the crime itself, it can be the target of the crime, that's somebody trying to hack you, or it can be used to facilitate the crime, so you using it to perform a particular crime. So you can see how digital devices are very key in this place. And also the difference between cybersecurity and digital forensics, they are complementary, but they're distinct in function. So I hope for some extra reading, I've attached some books that you will want to read also and such. I also have a book that I will also give you. So for those that want to read it in their own personal time. So Tom Cloud is very good in explaining certain items. So take a look at that. Some diagrams that you also how to run an investigation, which we are all going to be looking at. So I will also attach this particular resources for you to have access to as well. So I will attach everything as usual, like I normally do all the time. So in terms of your lab setup, is what we're going to be looking at next. I would suggest for you to download Autopsy. I will send the link. So you just go to the website and download it for digital forensics. So this is for analysis. So you also go to FTT Manager. So you go to Xtero and download FTK image. Yes, so you download it. And then once you download it, we are going to be using it for the first lab that we're going to be doing in our next class. So these are the two aspects. So one thing, I think one of the questions that somebody was asking, there are different jobs in the market. You can see always, this is always the last here. So somebody started as a security analyst, graduated into a security engineer, then moved as a security architect. Then now he's an ethical hacker, his own company. Then he now did CISSP, which is the Chief Information Security Officer, and now moving into digital forensics and incident response. So you can see how you need to gather knowledge from different spheres of IT and cybersecurity to end up as a digital forensic expert. So let's see the questions that were asked earlier. I'm not sure we have gone through. Let's check the. You can easily get ACPO principles of digital evidence. Exactly. So it's widely considered everywhere. So let's check the PDF, I think, so that I need to explain this finally before you go, because you need to have a very good understanding of ACPO principles. I'll try to summarize it for you. Okay, let me share my screen again. I cannot, I don't know why this has issues always, Junior. Uh, so I will uh, I will leave and join back again so that I can be able to share my screen for you briefly. I don't know. It's still not sharing. Anyway, um, okay. I think it's sharing now. So, um, what I want us to look at is principles of that will guide you. This is the most one of the most important things in digital forensics. You have to follow these four principles. They are four. You can read more on them, and I will give you the document in order to maintain integrity and make sure that. Yes, I have less than 10 minutes. Yes, we will finish right now. It's just a summary. So these four principles are developed by ACPO, which is Association of Chief Police Officers in the UK, and then was adopted globally. So all chief police officers agreed that these principles, when dealing with any evidence investigation, you have to follow them in order to maintain uh, the integrity and also make sure that the evidence that you acquire can be relied upon in court of law. So, first principle, it says no action taken by law enforcement agencies, person employed within those agencies or the agency should change data which may subsequently be relied upon. So this actually principle one focuses on data integrity. So I'll give you an example. People that mistakenly, uh, maybe you saw somebody doing Yahoo Yahoo on his laptop. Your police or your first responder, you come in, you collect his laptop, and then you close everything, or you try to see, or continue chatting with the person just to know whether it's going to end. All this is what you're doing is actually changing or affecting the integrity of the particular data for you interfering in this. So what you should do is just to collect the data the way it is to maintain the integrity, how you found it. Because if not, cannot tell you the amount of cases that Yahoo boys or even criminals that have committed atrocities have gotten away with it just because people have distorted evidence that have been collected. So that is why it is very important. So let's principle one, no change of data. Please. Principle two says in circumstances where a person finds it necessary to access the original data, that person must be competent to do so and be able to give evidence to relevance to implications of the action. So principle two is in reaction to principle one. So what principle one says you should never change data. So let me give you an example. What if in a situation where it is the computer or the mobile phone is connected to the internet, where you have connectivity of so many users and people that are connected to it? Maybe the guy also remotely can delete it. If it's a phone, somebody can remotely wipe the phone. What if you are in that particular situation? That is why it says in circumstances. So in this circumstance, you find it okay, it is necessary to either switch it off or put it in a sleep mode or disconnect a particular thing. So you have to, in your report, you have to specifically specify it. And there are conditions for you to do this. Because what it says in principle one is not to change any data. But if you are going to actually tamper with the data by doing these actions, you have to, number one, be competent. So there's competence. You need to have the qualification, the certification, and the experience. That's number one. And also, even if you have the competence, you have to give evidence explaining why you did it. So in your report, you have to say, okay, I switched off this laptop because network was connected to it. This is the proof that network was connected to it, and some particular things or resources or services were still running in order not to uh, tamper with the data later on. So you have to explain it. You have to be competent, and then you have to give evidence explaining it. So these are principle 1 and 2. Number 3, principle 3, what it explains is an audit trail or record of all processes applied should be created and preserved. An independent third party should be able to examine these processes and results. So this is referring to you need to have documentation. So documentation in terms of what you did, how you did it, what you're going to do next. The reports, so this includes the report, your chain of custody, everything involves an audit trail. So that if me that I've never known the case, I come and read the file, I will know, okay, this is what happened. You understand? That is principle 3, documentation. Chain of custody also falls under principle 3, which is audit trail. So who and who access the evidence at what time. Principle 4, it ensures authority. The person in charge of the investigation has overall responsibility of the law and principles. So that's why you see before an investigation starts, you will see that, okay, this investigation is assigned to Mr. X. This is your case. So that anything that we know that happens, whether it is good or bad, we know that you are the person that will be liable to that case. So you need to establish authority over that case. So principle 4 explains authority. So just to summarize the 4 principles. Principle 1, integrity of your data. Principle 2 is to explain if that integrity has been compromised, why and how. Principle 3, documentation. Principle 4, authority. So I will also send this to you. Let me download it. Yes. So I hope that was okay because it's important. If you don't understand that, you cannot really do digital forensics. Let me go through the question because we have a few minutes remaining before the next people come. What about Wireshark? Are we using it? Yes, we're using Wireshark for network forensics, but it's going to be brief. Faith, link. You can just Google it. It's free. It's not. You don't need any link. Everything you must not be given link. Uh, is it right to say one has to pass through all those other jobs? Not necessarily, but you just need the experience. Mr. Ekwe, first step, okay, not proper to think, take time for responding. In security intelligence, you will use the check crime scheme investigate. I don't understand. Mr. Hamza Ibrahim, what we had to attend any particular are we safe? What is it? Some people are just irresponsible. Okay, seems like there are not much questions. So please have your FTK image ready and your autopsy also ready. I will be ready to give you some evidence to start working on our next class, so you can start seeing uh, how the detectives, digital detectives, are working to solve crime. So I think, Awal, is that okay? I'm not sure we have any other. Yeah, I cannot see any other questions. So somebody has looking at the number of organizations. Is this possible? every organization create their CSAT. Yes, it's possible. Every organization will have a CSAT internally. And then we have a global CSAT or a national CSAT that that particular CSAT will report to. Many organizations have internal CSAT. CBN has it. NDIC are in the process of developing one. NCC too have already developed one. So all these main organizations, I'm not sure NMPC has, but that is the plan. Okay, so as usual, I will drop all the lecture notes in your dashboard, and then links will also be distributed in different social media channels as well. So see you next week.